People who work at super fancy hotels, what kind of stuff happens that management doesn't want people to know about? It's pretty common to have a dead guest. There's a standard procedure for it and we take care of it quietly. They're a weirdly popular place to commit suicide. Have a nice last meal, some nice entertainment as the swan song, then die in the comfort afforded by 5-star accommodation, safe in the knowledge that someone will find the body and they won't be left lying on the floor of their own home for 7 months before somebody notices. During housekeeping, hotels use different colored cloths to wipe your drinking glasses, cutlery, toilets, and sinks to avoid contamination. They just didn't bother separating these cloths after wiping and moving to the next room. Did valet at an upscale hotel in SF. The number of times I parked luxury vehicles with drugs haphazardly/precariously stowed in obvious places always blew me away. Not surprisingly, those guests were great tippers as they learned who to trust. So many escorts too, always laughed at dudes would come to the restaurant for lunch with a new lady practically every day like he was showing off his catalog of women as if no one knew he paid for them all. We take notes on your reservation profile. Everything from anniversary information to fav cocktails and foods. Add notes to pass along to other staff. The amount of sex toys left behind will blow your mind. $2,000 per night, and this place has a serious rat problem. I have a pretty interesting one. We know criminal enterprises have funded casinos in the past. I worked at Revel Casino, now Ocean, in Atlantic City before and after its opening. One thing they kept mentioning in our onboarding was that the triads were funding the casino. I thought it was super strange that these execs were just openly telling brand new hires. I only work as a housekeeper at a regular 4-star hotel, but probably about 25% of people either bleed or leave shit stains on the beds. It's truly atrocious how disgusting people are, especially when they know someone else is cleaning it up. Even the wealthier guests. And the best tippers are the cleanest people. If someone fully shit on the bed and used towels to wipe, left cum on the shower door, drank heavily and puked on the carpet in multiple places, and clogged the toilet, that person will not tip at all. But the person who barely used the full bed and didn't use the shower at all and was super clean and polite, now that's a good tipper. A well-known luxury hotel and resort chain keeps a database of you. They get pictures from the internet and basically stalk you to create a profile. They put what you ordered to eat, how many towels you needed, what drinks you liked, your kids' names and birthdays, address, phone number. Everyone working in the hotel has access to this database and can see your information. It's not all good stuff either. We know you were an asshole to Jen while you were staying in London. The one I was at had to remove cameras in the lobby because bigwig guys would bring their mistresses, and no evidence was allowed to be recorded. Front desk knows all the call girls. We give them water on the way out and sometimes call them taxis. Management doesn't like us doing it, but escorts tip well. Worked at the Luxor Casino in Vegas while I waited to go to film school. People piss and masturbate under the gambling tables. People often commit suicide in hotels. That way their loved ones don't have to find them. We turn a blind eye to drug dealers and prostitutes more often than you think. They hardly complain and usually prepay huge bonds happily. Also, we don't give a shit if you are having an affair. My brother worked in an upscale hotel in Southern California. A morbidly obese guest sat on the toilet in his room, shattered it, got his femoral artery slashed by a chunk of broken toilet, bled to death, and flooded his room when the water line ruptured. My brother found out about it from the maintenance guy who found the body. Management made sure no other guest ever knew, including the guests in the room below the death scene who called for maintenance because water was running down their wall. People who work for the super wealthy, what stuff have you seen? Worked as one of 4 full-time groundskeepers at a large estate. 46 acres of lawn to mow twice a week. 2 clay tennis courts, 3 pools, 1 for the main house and 1 for each of the 2 guest houses. 100+ acre private lake with boathouse. No clue how big the whole estate was including the woods. Personal favorite was the 3-mile personal race track. But what really blew my mind was that he hosted his niece's wedding one summer, paid $350,000 to have this massive willow tree trucked in and planted by the lake for wedding photos. Only to pay another $50,000 to have it removed and the landscaping returned to its original state after the wedding because he did not like the look of it. Jeweler here. Some random client quotes. Client: so I have some gemstones that have just been collecting dust, pulls out about a dozen amethyst, citron, smoky quartz, most an inch or more across, what can we do with these? Can you make a crown? No, not a little flimsy fake one, a real one. Me, makes a 5 pound silver and gold crown. New client, you're going to see me a lot. This is going to be my new addiction. Me, okay, I'll bite. What was your last addiction? New client, collecting, fully grown, trees. I had 45 transported and replanted on my property last year. Client, have you seen my new car? Me, I have not. Client, they only made a few. Points out the window at a new, navy blue Bentley. I didn't like the interior, so I had them replace it all with bright orange leather. They added a plate inside with my name engraved on it. Isn't it cool? 55-year-old client, I want everything pink. Can you tell I'm obsessed with Barbie? Laughs, we're even building a pink house. I want my engagement ring to be all pink. Me, I can make it in rose gold. Client, great. Do you have any pink diamonds? Me, not in stock, but I know of a supplier who has one. Client, I'll take it. Me, it's a natural argyle pink. It would be about $220,000. Client, how soon could you have it ready? Can you add more pink diamonds to the sides? I often do work for the wives of wealthy professionals. The thing that has always stood out to me is that if I tell them that something they want isn't doable, they respond with literal confusion. It isn't anger. It's confusion. They are so unaccustomed to not being given exactly what they want that it's as if they don't understand what is happening when they are told they can't have something. I used to work at a members-only golf/country club. There were members who had been actors, athletes, race car drivers, former CEO of Google, some major money and egos going on. There was one family that had 3 teenage kids, 2 girls and a boy. The mom and the girls were very attractive and knew it. They always looked amazing and had overly entitled attitudes to match. They were fancy. Well, the lady who washed the linens for the county club also did house cleaning for some members. This family was one of them. She said their multi-million-dollar home was a disaster filth zone. They basically did no housework in between having the cleaning lady there. Dishes piled with dried food that smelled, dirty clothes thrown everywhere, piles of crap all over, sticky floors, dog poop left on the floor. But the nastiest part was the bathrooms. She said they wouldn't empty their bathroom trashes and the ladies of the house would throw their used tampons on top of overflowing trash, so she had to pick up their used women's products thrown on the floor, not even wrapped in paper. So these fancy bitches would walk around the club like they were so superior and look down on everyone, then would go home and act like wild apes throwing their trash and period products on the ground. The thought of being so out of touch that you decide it is beneath you to even be sanitary, BC you can just pay someone to do that for you, is just beyond insanity. The CEO of the company I worked for was the founder's son. Not an unintelligent guy for the most part. His dad made him start with the most basic jobs in the company and work his way through the different departments. Managerial staff was ordered, upon penalty of termination, not to treat him any differently than a new hire. So when he became CEO, he wasn't a bad guy to with for. Now, this is a company of over 10,000. One night, I'm working overtime on the late shift and we get this call. Hey! You guys! Got electrician. The guy is clearly drunk, we have no idea who it is or why he's calling our maintenance/engineering group. We ask who he is and he informs us, lightheartedly. He wants someone to take a ride to his house and figure out why the internet isn't working. This is an hour drive away. I volunteer, I was bored off my nut anyway. I get to the house, entry gate is smashed, section of the white horse fencing is gone, Jaguar is stuck in the field. Here in the house is dude, completely blasted. He's got a huge cut on his hairline. Are you okay, boss? I'm fine. Why? He asks, blood literally caked on his face. I accompany him to the bathroom and help him clean himself up, wash off the gash and put some bandaging on it. Then I corrected the internet. Unplug plug. As I'm walking out, he asks me to do a shot with him. I comment, worried about my job, that it might be a bad idea. He agrees and hands me the bottle, take it home and do a shot later. Keep it. When I get back to work I look the stuff up. Never heard of it. It's a $1,500 bottle of scotch. The next day I'm at work early. About 11 in the morning he comes walking up. We're not going to be talking about last night. I tell him it's all good, awesome. A little bit later I get an envelope. There's a check attached for emergency tech support, $5,000. Not the craziest thing but wild to me. I was working for a kind of well-off family during a summer. I went inside to get a drink and the mom was cleaning the kitchen, putting things away and such. She picks up a MacBook and says to me, "Hey, do you want this? No one uses it, got a brand new MacBook for college." My brother-in-law builds custom homes in the redneck Riviera belt of Florida. One day, he called me to come over to this $15 million beach house he was doing a complete remodel of. He was the original builder. He asked me to bring my truck and trailer. I show up, and he walks me through all 4 floors. He then says, "The owners have removed all the stuff they want to keep. She has told me to dispose of everything as I see fit. Get what you want. Furniture, appliances, outdoor furniture, rugs, lamps, artwork, you name it." I don't know the value of everything I took home with me that day, but it was the highest end stuff I've ever seen. 4 floors of it, and I only got 1 trailer load because I simply couldn't fit anything else in my house. I likely had over $20,000 worth of furniture and appliances on that trailer. Had a client come into our 3D printing office. His attention was immediately caught by a large industrial 3D printer in our showroom. Pulled out a credit card and bought a $250,000 machine on the spot. Best part was when we installed the machine at his facility. First thing he wanted to print was a meter-tall penis. Few weeks after the install we got a photo of him standing next to the meter penis. Money well spent. $40K/year on sports coaching and travel, each, for 2 kids. It was a better option than having them get into drugs or blow money in other destructive ways. When the oldest kid turned 22 he got mad at his mom and yelled at her, "All I know about is sport." She said, "I know. But you don't have a cocaine addiction and 3 pregnant strippers like your Uncle Mark." An old boss did extremely well and sold off the lion's share of his ownership but wanted to stay involved in the company anyway, so he'd drive his absurd supercar to the office and just hang out. One day he came into the office and it was set up in such a way that the executive offices were in a little 2x2 office glass pod in the middle, with curtains for privacy if needed, and our rows were arrayed around them. He sat in his little glass office all day and cleaned his handguns. I'll say this though, he wasn't a bad dude. We may not have seen eye to eye on politics, but if you worked for the company he knew your name and would hang around and chat. Super generous around the holidays with time off and the big holiday party/door prizes/stuff of that nature. The company went way downhill when he finally let go of the reins completely. Years ago I used to work carpentry, mainly doing sunrooms. One of our clients was a brain surgeon who was married to a lawyer and they subsequently had a massive house on a large property. Their son was also some type of neuroscientist and with his parents' permission, had yet another massive house built on this same property. Problem is, city ordinances prohibit 2 separate livable dwellings on the same property. Mind you, these houses were about a quarter mile away from each other. So to comply with the ordinances, they built a fucking wall between the houses. And this isn't just some dinky picket fence type of wall, it's a massive medieval style wall that has round towers with merlins and crenels, a gym midway through, and a massive $750K and all-glass sunroom, all the while being wide enough to have room for a walking path and a road for golf carts. Inside the wall, the city ordinance said only 1 livable dwelling can be on their property, so they just made a massive hallway between their houses. Edit: I was able to find the video I took from years ago on my computer when we were on the job site scouting it out. My memory wasn't exactly correct, but this gives you a good look at what it looked like. The steel structure you see near the end is where the sunroom was going to go. All we were providing was the glass. My sister is a butler for a super wealthy family. She told me a couple crazy stories. The family once got this super expensive rare breed cat, and a few months later the wife tells my sister she can feel the cat isn't quite happy in their house, so she asks her to take their private jet to drop the cat off in their mansion on Lake Como, Italy, so it could spend a holiday in the sun. That same woman would then sometimes berate my sister for buying soap in plastic dispensers instead of just soap bars because it's bad for our planet. They bought this insanely huge super luxurious cabin in one of the most expensive ski stations in Switzerland. They realized the cabin, more like a mansion really, right next to theirs was for sale, and then bought that one as well just so they wouldn't have close neighbors. I did a male nanny, job for a rich couple who wanted someone to care for their kids. The wife didn't want a female nanny and I was in college, so it helped pay the bills. One day they asked, "Do you want to go to Hawaii?" Turns out the company that the husband was the coup of was doing an executive retreat in Hawaii. Instead of finding daycare in Hawaii for their kids, they thought it'd be easier to just pay for me to fly to Hawaii, care for the kids during the day, and then have my evenings or their family time free. So I went to Hawaii on their dime, had my own hotel room, they paid me for my time and gave me a large stipend for my own food/entertainment. I ended up with pretty much every evening off, so I got to spend it. During the day I brought their kids to the beach, we went hiking, and did some touristy running around. On top of that they gave me $5,000 in spending money in case any of the kids wanted anything. I had to show receipts, but when I tried to turn in the receipts the wife just said, "Oh, don't worry about it, it's only a couple grand," and never verified how I'd spent some of that money. I couldn't tell if she just trusted me implicitly by that point or if she truly thought the amount was so small it didn't matter. They were a really nice family, just very well off, which made just spending money on any problems the easiest answer. I actually got invited to the oldest daughter's high school graduation because she considered me a friend. I set up a party for a family out in the Hamptons that bought the house next door just to level it and set up a giant temporary party tent on the plot. Wild shit. I moved the guy that created eBay. He had Aretha Franklin's grand piano, played it, and Elvis Presley's coat, didn't wear it. What's the worst possible reply to "I'm pregnant"? When my wife became pregnant with our second child, she told our son, who was just under 3 at the time, that mommy had a baby growing in her belly. His response: "Oops. You have the wrong number." Got a random call from a woman once who, while crying, told me she was pregnant. I awkwardly told her she had the wrong number. And she hung up. On purpose? Different scenario, but a coworker of mine a while ago was smoking on her break and a lady came up to her and said, "That's bad for the baby." My coworker replied, "It's alright, I'm not keeping it anyway, she wasn't pregnant." "Are you sure it's yours?" How my coworker's boyfriend responded, "Oh. Makes sense, you're a bit more of a cunt than usual lately." My sister told my parents she was pregnant. She had been married for a couple of years at this point. My dad said, "What did you go and do that for?" My mom started to cry and said, "Why are you trying to make me seem so old?" Edit. Unfortunately, this was definitely not a joke on either of their parts. My mom definitely does have some narcissistic tendencies and my dad, well, what's going on there? My sister was 22 or 23, and my parents were 45-46. You know, I just got a vasectomy. Someone asked me, "So you just decided to keep it and see if it works out? I thought you were just getting fat." Sounds like a you problem. Good luck with that one. Okay, hey, I'm gonna go grab some milk. Do yourself a favor and flush it out, Frank Reynolds. Ah, you finally got 2 brain cells.